Your unhealed parts are going to cause the most pain to people in your life, because what you don't heal in yourself, you are unconsciously projecting onto other people, and those other people in your life are going to have to reorganize their lives around your unhealed wounds.
Why do you think most couples don't experience that deep connection? Is it just that they aren't aware of it, or they aren't willing to do the work, or they just don't know that it exists? Or
the only way you can create really, really deep connection with another human being, especially in a romantic relationship, is if you have first been able to create it with yourself.
If somebody listening wants to deeper connection, but they feel stuck, what would you want them to hear today?
Everything in your life changes. Everything in your life changes when you first feel connected to yourself and experiencing that with somebody else.
What would change in somebody's life if they get to experience that deep connection? Everyone wants deeper connection. We want to feel seen, understood, and truly close to the people we love. But many relationships struggle with conflict, distance, and patterns we don't understand. Today's guests help people change that. Brandon and Darci Burke are transformational and relationship coaches and founders of Safe to Be Seen. Darci is a certified nervous system practitioner and somatic coach, and together they help individuals and couples move beyond surface level relationships into deeper emotional safety, intimacy, and connection. Today we're talking about what deep connection really is, what profound intimacy looks like, and how couples can create it. So let's get into it. Hey, really quick, thanks so much for listening. The purpose of this podcast is to help people understand that they have the ability to choose the direction of their life, whether that be business, finance, relationships, health, any of that. I believe that this podcast will give you the tools to take the right steps. But we need your help. Please be sure to like, to comment, to subscribe. It helps us to bring on more guests and continue to get better. Thank you so much. Thanks so much, guys, for coming on. I'm excited about this. I know we're going to learn a lot. So first off, I want to start, tell us a little bit about your story and kind of what got you into this style of work.
Well, thanks for having us, Christian. It's a pleasure to be here. We are always so grateful and excited to talk about that which is most near and dear to our hearts, and that is our love and our relationship. And so, yeah, I would say maybe an appropriate starting point would be just to maybe help people understand that the transformation of our relationship, of our marriage, the deepening of our connection, and all of the multiple benefits derived from that deepened connection, really begins with the personal transformation that both of us embarked on several years ago. Because, Christian, we learned that the love, the relationship, the marriage, as taught to us, and as we learned through our participation in religion, our involvement, of course, in society and culture, was an illusion. And what I mean by that is that we are often taught, or we at least we pick up on from a very young age, we're conditioned by, whether it be through the media or through whatever means, that to be in relationship means to depend upon another person, to need another person, to make you whole, to complete you, to make you happy. All you got to do is turn on your favorite love song and just read the lyrics, or watch any, love story movie coming out of Hollywood, and you'll see that this is what love is taught. This is how love is taught. Relationship is taught. It's more of a codependency. And so, I would just say that our own personal journeys of self-discovery and transformation led us to realize our own innate divine power, and increased our desire for individuation, for sovereignty. And so really when we came upon that strong desire, and it's a whole nother story getting into how that came to be, how what led us to our own personal transformations, but when we had this personal transformation journey going on, it became absolutely necessary for us to take a very, very honest and sincere and close look at our relationship.
How long have you been married?
It'll be 26 years in August, yeah. So, yeah. And, we were a little over 21 years into our marriage when we started to, um, you know, basically we started our transformational journeys.
Okay.
So,
Is that when I saw you did a post about being married the second time
Yeah.
to the same person?
yeah,
I'm assuming that's something like that. But
Yeah.
That's what that was about.
exactly, Christian.
Share a little bit about that post and what you meant by that. Really
Yeah.
quick.
Do you want to go or do you want me to?
It's your post.
It was my post, but I feel like I'm talking too much.
I'm not. Keep going.
She has so much to contribute. She's so wise. So we got to get her going, but it was my post. Basically, Christian, I think what's it called? Like the headline or whatever of the post was, "Some second marriages begin without divorce." And it's because a couple of years ago, Darci and I realizing that, like, when you come to this point, Christian, in your, like I was saying, in your own personal transformational journey where you're increasing in self-awareness, you're really getting to know yourself a lot better. You start to realize that the way things have been can't be anymore. And so the hardest part about like transforming your marriage, what we're calling like, a second marriage for us,
Yeah.
is not like the actual like marriage, the staying together, the working things out with each other. It's letting the old version of you die. Like it's literally, we're not talking about just like relationship hacks or communication techniques that'll like help you see each other better. We're talking about literal identity change and transformation. And so, yeah, a couple of years ago, at this point on our journeys, Darci and I wanted to ceremonially, we wanted to burn down our old marriage and we wanted to recreate something new. And so fire is symbolic for purification, for burning, for cleansing, and of course for destruction, after which destruction, growth can occur, new growth. And that's what we did a couple years ago. So that's what that post was about. But
Okay.
yeah.
I love it. So now your podcast, Safe to Be Seen. What does that mean? What does safe to be seen mean? Maybe this would be a question for Darci.
Yeah.
I can see her. She's like, I've got it.
Well, no, I just want to say that, like, Brandon and I speak about individual transformation journeys. And me personally, I never like to say, like, I'm transformed. What really happened was that we just became more honest about the truth of who we are
Okay.
and started living more authentically. And really,
What
like,
does that look like when you weren't living that before and now you are?
because I think most of us are living our lives through survival patterns that we're not even aware of. That's so much. I mean, 95% of our lives are lived at the subconscious level. That's wild.
Yes.
And that's everything below your head.
Mhm.
All the invisible patterns and beliefs that we have about ourselves.
Yeah.
That are actually creating our reality. And so when I say that, like, we transformed, we like shed everything that wasn't truly us, that we thought we had to be a certain way in order to maintain connection or to maintain belonging. And once we like shed those layers, like basically like unbecoming what the world told us we should be, what culture taught us we should be, what we were programmed to be from the time that, I mean, you're little, you start, your nervous system begins to be programmed to show up in a certain way.
Yeah.
And that is the work of like rewiring yourself and expanding your body so your consciousness can expand in that. So I just want to name that, yeah, like we became a different person, but we didn't become like something that we didn't want to be. It's like we became our true selves for the first time. And that leads into safe to be seen. When we were thinking about doing a podcast, and we were coming up with all these names, and one of them was unbecoming, because that's a huge part of we just became things that just were not us.
Okay.
It was one day actually in a yoga class, and a lot of things come through to me when I'm doing yoga.
Okay.
It's you're so deeply in your body, and once your mind relaxes, that's when so much clarity comes in. But
Okay.
I just this name.
Note to self.
Yeah.
Try yoga. See what happens. Okay.
For yoga, Christian.
I was just safe to be seen. And it was yeah, that. And I went home and told Brandon, he was yeah, that's exactly it. It just means that you get to be completely witnessed in your wholeness. And I think really that's what every person in this world desires, to be so completely in their whole state and to be witnessed by another human in that whole state, in your humanness.
Yeah.
And feeling safe to do that.
Yeah.
We put on so many masks because we don't want people to see behind the mask. And taking off that mask and you just see me for who I really am.
Yeah.
And for our relationship, we had discovered what first being able to witness our own wholeness. First being able to witness within inside of ourselves, our own authenticity, our own truth, and building up that safety to do that before we could allow that to be seen in each other. So
that makes sense. I love that. And you mentioned a moment ago about letting go of certain things that were kind of your identity in the past, but maybe they didn't serve you now, right? In this life that you wanted now. Can you give an example of something then that you had that you decided, okay, this doesn't fit and I need to let this go?
I mean, I think for both of us, it's been so much. It's been so much. A huge part of Brandon's story is we grew up in a high demand religion that for the longest time, we thought it was serving us, and there were parts of it that did. And we don't we don't like a lot of our story to be focused on this part of it, but it's a part of our story. It's
just letting that go.
Yeah. And
okay.
And that had defined so much of who we were and how we should show up in the world and who we should be, that when we started deconstructing that, it's we both came to these truths of who we really are and what we really believed and how we really wanted to show up in the world and what we really thought about situations. When you grow up in situations like that, it's almost you're being told what to think, how to feel about certain things, what to do, how to spend your money. It's when we both came to a place of being more sovereign with that and discovering who we really were without the conditioning of religion, without the conditioning of culture, without the conditioning of anything that had been programmed into us, that this is the way that you should be in order to be happy. This is what you should do in order to achieve success. And we're we just rewrote that.
So it was more that if we remove that programming and we just say, what is it that I want? And what do I either believe in, or do I believe will bring me success and happiness? And how do I need to show up on that? Ignoring what I've been taught and just kind of looking at it just completely raw, starting from scratch. What does that need to look like?
Yeah. And I think everybody at some point, no matter if you're involved in religion or whatever you're involved in, you have to come to a place in your life of being able to feel safe enough inside of yourself to be able to, does this really serve me? Is this what I really want? Because our nervous systems will always choose attachment over authenticity. It will always choose belonging over authenticity, because its number one job is to keep us alive, is to keep us safe. And so when we're reorganizing and rewriting our stories, it can feel incredibly disorienting and incredibly scary. And that's where a lot of people stay back. They stay back with old paradigms and I'll just do the life the way that everybody's been telling me to do it because this feels really uncomfortable. Well, anything unfamiliar to your nervous system, it flags that as it's not safe. But that's actually a window for you to expand into your fullest potential.
Wow.
Of meeting that edge and looking fear in the face and being what are you trying to show me right now? And that was a huge part of our story of feeling safe enough to step out of what quote unquote people thought was right and people thought was normal, these scripts that who gave us these scripts to live by, and who says that we have to follow that script in order to find happiness, in order to find peace. So we rewrote a lot of stories with religion, with business, with our kids, with each other. Like, we've done a lot of
With our bodies.
Like, and it's the ongoing process. That's the beauty of life. Like, this death and rebirth cycle that we constantly get to go through. I don't look at it anymore as like, when I'm feeling something inside of my body, when I'm feeling discomfort, what's the first thing we want to do when we feel discomfort? We want to leave our bodies. We don't want to feel it. We want to run. We want to numb. We want to distract.
Yeah.
We want to get mad at something, But when I feel discomfort in my body now, and I'm not saying I'm perfect at this, because believe me, I'm not. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I'm being invited here to expand. I'm being invited to deeper potential with inside of myself. And I think we just are not brought up in a culture that teaches us how to be with discomfort and be okay.
Right.
And I think that's like the biggest shadow collectively that we're up against right now, is nobody knows how to be with discomfort inside of their bodies.
Yeah, it's crazy. We have these bodies that just might be the most miraculous, most incredible, if you want to call it a machine or equipment. I hate to refer to it as that. I know, talked about that for a long time, about what Darci just talked about being so connected to yourself that you allow yourself to feel. You're not running, distracting, numbing, but you're allowing yourself to feel. It's okay. Yeah. And so we have these bodies that provide us that beautiful blessing of feeling our human experience, seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, the sensations, yes, but also our emotions. And what do most of us do? Most of the time, we shut it down. We numb it. We run away. We distract through working more or being on our phones more, or, whatever it is, instead of actually being in these bodies and connected to them. And so that's a huge part of our journey. We have to talk about that, because that is like our transformation. You talk about what kind of things did we shed identity-wise. Well, one big one was religion, yes, and perhaps attached to that was the way that we view our bodies. And well, just like I said, like understanding that it is through deep connection with your body, somatic awareness, or being able to locate and name your pain. Like, that's a big one for men. I work a lot with men, and one of the biggest hindrances to a man being able to become the kind of man that he was created to be, like maximize his potential, is his inability to feel his pain. Because from the time that we're little boys in our culture and society, we're taught, go to your room until you're ready to come out and be a big boy, until you're ready to stop crying. Big boys don't cry. Quit being a wuss, a pansy, whatever, Yeah. We're taught that. We're conditioned so heavily. Not to suppress the emotion. Yeah, so we actually separate ourselves from a very, very beautiful part of our humanity, ourselves. We separate from that, and we spend the rest of our lives unaware that we are still, like, that pain is in the driver's seat of our lives, and it will rear its ugly head in all sorts of various ways. Ask me how I know. But until a man can locate and name his pain, his shame, his resentment, his anger, his rage, whatever it may be, he's stuck. He's stuck in that little boy emotionally and energetically. And so,
Are you saying it's kind of hard sometimes for them to move past it, unless they feel it, understand it, and kind of learn it, right?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could give you a simple example, Christian, and that would be like a road rage incident. Like I was joking with Darci on the way over to your studio today, it's at the time of this recording, 1 p.m. So the day's not even half over. And I think I've had 3 or 4 incidences this morning where I almost got like ran over or run into, or like someone got mad at me because I apparently did something wrong on the road, And it's like when we act that way, we're just in, like Darci spoke to, we're just in a state of protection. And when you're in a state of protection, you cannot operate at your highest potential. You're not being your true self because you feel threatened. You feel like you have to protect yourself. And so whether, someone drives really aggressively or always in a hurry or cuts people off or doesn't let people in, or, chases someone down if they feel like they didn't drive the way they approve of, all this crazy stuff that happens. This is just one simple example, but this is what we're talking about. Like, just you're stuck in
That moment just sets those guys off. It's really something, some anger or something just hasn't been addressed.
Yeah, or perhaps they, deep down in their subconscious, maybe they feel unlovable, feel unseen. Maybe it's because they were raised in a home where they weren't seen and they didn't feel lovable. Well, then something happens out on the road, like someone cuts them off, and what happens? Little 6 or 7-year-old version of that man in the truck, that 6 or 7-year-old version of him hijacks him, basically, and he acts like a child. He acts like a little boy who is scared, or who feels unseen, or who feels unlovable, and he's reacting reflexively to that. So yeah, that's just all. So that, this whole this paradigm of like connecting to our body and like viewing our body in a completely different way, and actually being a huge part of our spirituality now, is this somatic awareness and this nervous system work that Darci has brought into our lives, and is just it's a huge part of being able to shed and progress and grow. But yeah, if I may, Christian, another thing that we shed that was a big thing was, it was actually a 25-year venture in my orthodontic practice. I recently sold it because in this journey of self-discovery and growth and transformation, increased awareness, whatever you want to call it, I came to the knowing that like that wasn't any longer me.
It wasn't serving you anymore.
Yeah, it was a beautiful thing that we created together. It was an incredible journey, and we're so grateful for it. But eventually, with all the change going on in our lives individually and together as in our relationship, it was just another thing that needed to be shed. And so, those are just a couple of big examples. But
so this it makes sense now when your post about the second marriage, because what I'm hearing is, before there was this marriage based on a religion which taught you how to be, maybe wasn't who your authentic self, who you wanted to be, and based on a business world, it was just there, right? That thing that was there. And then later on, when you made this transformation, you realize, wait a minute, this isn't really what I want. Mm-hmm. Our marriage is kind of based on this, but now we need to recreate whatever it's based on. Mm-hmm. And that's going to help us bring more connection, because it's based on something that's real, not something that we just believe we're supposed to do just cause.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think a critical piece to like deepened intimacy and connection is simply what Darci spoke to earlier, and that is truth. Or said another way, she said living authentically. Like if you want intimacy, you want deep connection, absolute requirement for that is truth and vulnerability and authentic expression. That's where the intimacy and the depth and the connection come from.
To those who are listening or watching, can you define what deep connection really means? Like, what does it mean? What does it look like? What does it feel like?
Mm-hmm. I think deep intimacy it's not really like about chemistry. It's not about um connection necessarily. I think it's to what I spoke to earlier, is that can I be so fully in my authentic self and in that expression of that?
Mm-hmm.
And can you see me in that without abandoning and without leaving?
Mm.
And, you know, intimacy is something that's cultivated first with inside of yourself. If you cannot sit with your own grief, if you cannot sit with your shame, if you cannot sit with anything that you're experiencing inside of your body and be okay and not abandon yourself, you cannot offer that to somebody else. You will deflect, you will avoid, you will
Wow.
project. So intimacy is first cultivated within yourself. How safe am I with my own human experience? And then in a relationship, when you feel so safe with inside of your own body, so safe with your emotions, so safe with your discomfort, then your role, I don't really like using the term roles in relationship, but your opportunity is just to be a witness to your partner doing the same. You know, a huge thing that we shed in our marriage was I very much took on like a caretaker role, people pleasing, fawning. Whereas like when he was not in a good place, I felt like I had to do something to make him feel better. And a lot of times that meant me abandoning myself or my own needs to make sure that he was okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that that we're not supposed to help our partners or have compassion for them or show empathy for them. But I very much took on a caretaker role of like, I got to make sure he's better in order for me to be okay. It
Oh,
had
okay.
everything to do with me, not with him.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't comfortable enough with his discomfort.
Yeah.
So I was taking away opportunities for himself to be able to be inside of his own body. I see that so much in relationships where we try to rescue our partners.
Yeah.
It doesn't really have to do with how much you love your partner. It has to do with I'm not okay unless you're okay.
Mm.
That speaks to your own sovereign and to your own capacity that you have with inside of yourself. And once I freed myself of that, of managing anybody's emotions, I just felt like this huge weight. I think it's a big thing for women to carry in their bodies, of this feeling like I got to make sure everybody's okay, because if they're not okay, how does that reflect on me?
Right.
That must mean I'm not okay.
So what does that look like? How do you do that in daily practice? So if he's stressed or whatever for the day and you're kind of taking ownership of those emotions and like you've got to correct them,
Mm-hmm.
what should one do instead?
Yeah. Well, first I would just say, how can I hold space for you right now? How can I see you more? Is there anything you want to express to me? And I will hold that space for you. Like I'll hold that container for you right now. In that, I'll listen to you and I won't judge you. I won't try to save you. And I'm not saying that like if he's having a heavy day, a stressful day, that might mean, maybe I take on some more responsibilities at home. I'm totally fine doing that. I'm not talking about that.
Okay.
I'm talking about how am I being when he is uncomfortable? Is it going to cause me more stress? Does it make me unhappy? Does it make me angry if he's had a bad day? That's not showing up for your partner in a way that's going to help them, because that just means I'm not okay unless you're okay.
Mm.
So like one of the most beautiful things that Brandon does for me when I am stressed or I'm like going through something, a transition in my life or something I'm just trying to process through, is he doesn't judge me. He doesn't try to like make it better for me. He just lets me like be a human. And he doesn't like get upset. He doesn't try to project. He doesn't like try to come and save. He just like holds me in that container. He just lets me express emotion without him losing himself. And sometimes that just looks like I'm just going to hold you.
Yeah.
And just breathe with you. So often I think men get really uncomfortable when women express emotions. like, oh, this is too much. I don't know what to do with you. Like,
Yeah.
and that just makes the feminine shut down the most alive thing about her. The most beautiful thing about her
Yeah.
is the way that she can feel emotions so deeply and be able to express them. And he's just been able to hold that, like, just being able to, like, hold that container for me, just to be real and to be human
Yeah.
and to be seen in that.
Mhm.
That's all I need.
Is that
If I may, Christian, I wanted to say that I haven't always.
I was just going to ask that. If that was a learned.
That was. We're going back to your question a while ago about what are some of the things that you shed. One of the things that I shed, one of many, many things, was the belief that that my being okay, my being enough was based on her. Does that make sense? Like that codependency type dynamic that like, I need you to. So whenever Darci would be having difficult emotions, maybe some storms are brewing inside, I want to speak to what she mentioned about why a lot of men struggle with like the emotional expression of their woman. It's because it touches on, I can speak from personal experience, it touches on a deep, deep shame wound or an unworthiness wound, wherein a man, by witnessing his woman storm, he takes it personal. Again, this goes back to my example of the road rage stuff. 7-year-old Brandon, who feels like he's only loved in certain circumstances, or, is only fully accepted if and when he does XYZ things, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, 7-year-old Brandon hijacks, adult Brandon, and he feels like he did something wrong. He feels like, it touches on that wound. Yeah. And, but shedding those kinds of beliefs is a huge part of this work. Those beliefs that I just want to emphasize, this is why the connection to the body is so critically important. Yeah. Because if you noticed when Darci was talking, she talked all about like, self-abandonment and, this healthy dynamic in relationship where you're able to navigate and process things in a very healthy way that maintains and or deepens connection, is based upon your ability to feel. Because, say, for example, she's having a hard day, emotions are apparent. If I feel that shame, but instead of just almost reflexively reacting on it like a 7-year-old would, yeah, of throwing some kind of tantrum, or at very minimum, making her experience about me instead of just letting her have her experience. You see? Okay. If I can feel that and name it and become, like she mentioned also earlier, like welcome it instead of that discomfort making me want to react in a disconnecting way, or run, or shut down, or withdraw my love in some way, or numb, or distract. I just feel it, and I I work through it.
What goes through your mind during those moments? And you're speaking to me right now, by the way, because this is something that I've had a challenge with, is when that emotion is there, you can feel those wounds and it's so intense, right? So if that's something that you've worked through and now you're able to kind of process that and let her experience that, but you're not taking it on.
Yeah.
Like in those moments, what's going through your mind that helps you to hold space for her and keep relaxed and not take it personal? Like, oh, this is the thorn that I have and it's being pushed,
Yeah.
Like I'm talking about the book, The Tethered Soul, Untethered Soul, whatever it was, Untethered. Yeah, Untethered Soul, where it's like I've got the thorn right there and you're just pushing on it, right? So what's going through your mind when that moment has either a reminder or something that where you can maintain that space?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I would say the first thing is I actually try not to let things go through my mind. Again, I just emphasizing that one of the biggest things that has helped us in this journey of growth and self-discovery is the connection to the body. And so what I'll do, Christian, when I start to feel discomfort related to her or not, but it just like my number one thing that I do is connect to my breath. So it's very simple. It's always here. It's always here. I don't have to like be in a sacred building. I don't have to be even in private. It can be anytime, any place. I can bring my awareness to my breath. And so that's the first thing is
That kind of calms you down.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, when you have a good breath practice or just a good relationship to your breath, within seconds, you can take yourself from what's called a sympathetic state, which is fight or flight.
Okay.
Like you feel the threat, you feel like there's a tiger in the bushes, when really it's just like someone just is driving slower than you like. But
they don't have those out here.
But within seconds, Christian, you can take yourself from a sympathetic state where your nervous system feels threatened, feels like it needs to protect, feels like it needs to either run or fight, to a parasympathetic state, which is your rest and digest state, which it just calms you. It physiologically calms you and lowers your stress response in those situations. So I would say number one for me is breath.
What I'm thinking about here as you said that is like, rather than those moments, like, I might tend to have a little more shallow breath and maybe the pace of it's a little faster. But if focusing on the breath to me would mean, and just let me know if I'm hearing this correctly, would mean having a deeper breath and just slowing the pace a little bit about it, right? And if I can focus on that, then these other things can be happening and it's not pushing on that thorn as much, right? And then I can be more present there rather than go to this triggered state where I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the biggest change that comes for people in anybody's transformation journey is that space between the stimulus and your response.
Yeah.
That is where your greatest power lies. So the stimulus is when you get activated by something you did or somebody else did, okay? You have a space right there where your deepest transformational experiences occur. You have a choice to react based upon old patterns, old beliefs, old survival wounds coming up, or you have a choice to respond differently. And it's in that moment where you are rewiring your nervous system to show up as a different person. It takes repetition. Like Brandon just didn't become that way overnight. It took several moments of him sitting with his own discomfort and just being with it. Not numbing, not avoiding, not distracting, just being with it. And once he could hold that capacity within his body, he could then hold it for me. And so people like want these like huge moments of like, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to be a different person. This healing space where we're in, where people want quick fixes. They want Amazon overnight delivery of becoming a new person. No, it doesn't come that way. It comes through the everyday moments where you train your body to show up in a different way. You train your body to be so comfortable with discomfort that you no longer have to react. You just naturally know how to respond. And now when I'm so embodied and I'm feeling something, even if it's something that he did, that I need to be like, hey babe, I need to talk to you about something. When you said this or when you did this, or not even like putting on him, just saying, I need to tell you how I'm feeling in my body right now. Mm-hmm. He just approaches it with curiosity. He doesn't get defensive. He doesn't get mad, because he's able to hold the container of his own body. The most powerful person in a room is the most present person in the room. When you can stay present with what's happening inside of your own body, that is a frequency that is felt feet away. Like,
Yeah.
you know, when you walk into a room, you notice people that have like frenetic, fragmented energy. It's like, ooh, especially the feminine can feel it,
Mhm.
you know? And then speaking of relationships, the one thing the feminine always asks, am I safe? Am I not safe? These are things that happen at the subconscious level. She will test you. She will say things. She will do things because she's testing you to see how safe she is around you. Can I share this emotion with you? And are you going to be good?
Yeah.
You know?
And if you perceive it as that thorn being pushed, then
yeah,
it's going to make her feel not safe or unsafe.
And also the thing I want to speak to too, a lot of times in relationships, like you mentioned, like when you feel that thorn
Mhm.
and you go here, okay? What's the story that you're telling yourself? What's the story that you're telling yourself about that thorn?
Yeah, for me, it's probably just that that's always going to be there.
Yeah.
And
No.
it's just going to be pushed every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want that.
Yeah. And what is that story causing you to do? If you keep on telling that same story every day, is that thorn going away?
Now it's probably getting bigger.
Yeah. And so like notice the stories that you're telling yourself about what's happening inside your body. You know, the minute we feel discomfort, we feel that thorn, we immediately go to, we judge ourselves, we judge other people, we think this is the survival brain in us.
I feel like I should be paying for this a little bit.
Hey, we can work that out later.
Dude, no, I actually love this, but I love that you guys went down this topic because this is one that I've just been working on more recently, and so I'm like, oh, I'm curious about it, and I'm really curious on your end because you mentioned like when you have those moments where you're a little more emotional, that's the feminine, and he holds that space for you. I kind of want to know what it feels like to you when that versus if he's got his thorn and he comes at you different, like maybe it is defensive, maybe it's like, no, I didn't do that, maybe it's no, whatever, you know. I want to like, what does that feel like for you when you have one versus the other? I mean, I'm sure it's like, well, if I'm having these emotions and I come and I'm sharing this with you and he's just making about his experience, right, and his traumas or whatever, I'm assuming that makes you feel extremely unsafe.
Yeah, I mean, okay, Brandon can talk about, we've come to a place in our relationship where Brandon can talk about any discomfort that he's feeling. He can talk about trauma. He can talk about anything that he's going through. And we've just trained through repetition to be able just to hold space for each other. I'm no longer bothered by his discomfort. I welcome it. That, like, being able to witness each other in that wholeness of who we are, that is like, that is the epitome of the human experience for me. And also, like, Christian, you speak to, like, what does that do for the feminine when she feels safe in a masculine presence? I mean, if the masculine only knew, they would spend thousands of dollars to be able to do that. Because everything,
This is going to cost me.
everything you want from your woman, everything, eroticism, playfulness, emotional capacity, softness, love, she will give that to you as long as she feels safe. Safety inside of a woman's body literally changes her DNA. It changes her like everything about her changes from the inside out when she feels safe.
Which is why if you see a woman, if you had the experience of seeing a woman that is radiant, like she's literally glowing, that's a woman. It has nothing to do with her geometry or her shape, her color, the features that you might describe as beautiful. It's because she's glowing.
Yeah. When you just allow her,
you feel that energy too.
Yeah.
It's very strong.
Yeah. When you just allow her to be who she is without trying to change her.
Yeah.
You know, so often I think men, out of love, when their girl is experiencing something uncomfortable, it's like, men, I can fix that.
We're
Like
fixers.
Bob the Builder coming in and being like, I'll fix that.
Where's my tool belt?
You know, like, we don't want to be fixed.
Yeah.
We don't want to be fixed. We just want to be seen. We just want to be held exactly as who we are and what we're experiencing. I think that's what we both want. But yeah, like an embodied masculine, like healthy embodied masculine, you don't have to make a lot of money. You don't have to drive the fanciest car. You don't have to have any of that. If you are in your healthy masculine, you will become magnetic to an embodied healthy feminine. You'll just get what you want naturally.
Yeah.
You get what you are.
You get what you are. Yeah, you don't get what you want. You get what you are.
You get what you are.
Mhm.
Again, shedding stuff, Christian, was the belief that like me in my role of making money and having a successful business and a nice house and food on the table and, you know, nice cars to drive, that was who I was, that was my role. When actually, you know what my role is? My most sacred role as the husband of this beautiful woman and as the father to my children is to be so safe within myself, to be so connected to myself that when I'm around, they feel safe. And we're not talking about physical protection, which of course that is, I will physically protect my people, but if needed. But we're talking about protecting her and my children, really anybody, but in talking about romantic relationship today, from my darkness, protecting her heart from my shadow. Because the wounded masculine has so much chaos going on inside. Fear, shame, rage, always feeling like there's some threat here. Someone's going to get me. So I better be on the offensive, right? The thing is, Christian, in that kind of state, in that kind of internal world of a man, he will have an energy about him that will not allow for the safety, the felt sense safety of the feminine. It just won't. That she will feel that chaos within him and she will not feel safe. And like Darci said, I can't emphasize enough, guys, if you only knew that the love that she will authentically and freely give you when she feels safe is so much better than what you could have ever imagined or come up with on your own that you tried to force. Just do the work on yourself. Do the work on yourself is what men need to understand. Take the focus off of what their woman is or isn't, and get to work on yourself. And then through these, like Darci spoke to, these micro, what do you call them? The micro practices. These little tiny moments where you get to, in that space between trigger and what you're going to do, that's where the work is.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I love the saying that an unpresent man will attract an unsurrendered woman.
And on what?
An unpresent man will attract an unsurrendered woman.
Mm.
And vice versa. You know, presence is one of the foundational parts of both of us, both the masculine and the feminine, feeling safe with each other. And it all has to do with how present you can be with yourself. So
When you talk about the small micro moments, I thought that was interesting. But how can couples become more aware of those micro moments?
mm-hmm.
Because then you kind of have, like, if you're aware, then you have a choice.
yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for me, Christian, this whole game, if we want to call it that, this whole journey, in my opinion, is about increasing awareness, expanding consciousness. And so for me, whenever anything like whenever I'm doing anything, or whenever I'm going through one of these experiences that we've described, where you're feeling some activation or some discomfort, for me, it's remembering my why. If I can ask myself with honesty and curiosity, and no shaming, no like harsh, we're really hard on ourselves. But if I can come at myself with love and curiosity, and just ask myself why did you do that, or why are you doing this, or why, and the answers come. And sometimes you gotta, an answer will bubble up and you'll be like, okay, but why? And you go a little deeper, and you just, but if you want expansion, if you want abundance, wealth, deep connection, incredible intimacy, amazing sex, you want all these things that we all want as human beings, you have to be able to be constantly expanding your awareness about why you are the way you are. Why are you doing things the way you're doing them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think in like relational dynamics, speaking to what you're speaking of, like,
Yeah.
what's like practical daily, like what does that look like in real life?
For sure.
Right? So I think one, you have to become familiar with what your survival patterns are. Do you have an anxious attachment? Do you have an avoidant attachment? Disorganized attachment? What are your attachment styles?
Mm-hmm.
Then what are your survival patterns? How comfortable are you with them, sharing vulnerabilities with you? Maybe that wasn't something that was safe for you growing up, being vulnerable, so you have no idea how to do it in a relationship.
Yeah.
So it's becoming very familiar with how are you self-protecting? Because anger, defensiveness, avoiding, projecting, fleeing, getting defensive, all those things, those are just you protecting yourself from what the truth really is. And that's why I'm saying being witnessed in your wholeness. I don't need those protective layers anymore. I can just speak truth.
Yeah.
And so I think first you got to become familiar with your own survival patterns, and then familiar with each other's survival patterns. And then co-create a dynamic in your relationship where you feel safe doing the opposite of that pattern. Okay. So I was an avoidant. I did not like uncomfortable conversations. When we would get in a fight, I would say, I'm sorry, and then move on, and we wouldn't talk to each other for like a week.
Or sometimes she would run and I would like run after her.
After me, I didn't,
because I
car, and he'd be like, follow me down the road. I'm like, no, I want my space.
And I'm like, no, we gotta fix. I want to fix this right now. Like, let's figure this out.
Yeah. So we recognize that this is a pattern. He had a little bit more of an anxious attachment style, and I had a secure. I felt secure coming into our marriage, but I definitely did not like uncomfortable conversations. I could not stay with them. So to change a pattern, you first have to learn from it. A pattern, reality will constantly give you experiences to show you where you are not free, to show you where a pattern needs to be disrupted. Okay? So until you can see it, learn from it, and then choose opposite, and then literally practice doing the opposite every day. So I had to practice when we got in fights, I had to practice staying with how uncomfortable it was. I'm not saying that you need to like pause and like maybe sometimes you do need to pause and go for a walk and go for a drive and let some steam come off of you. But I had to practice staying in uncomfortable conversations. He had to practice not having to have everything solved in that moment. He had to practice being okay with his own uncomfortable and not having everything figured out in that moment.
And when I did that, sorry, babe, when I actually made a shift from doing the same freaking thing all the time, which, for using this example, like chasing her. Yeah. No, let's fix this. When I actually, she's like, I'm out of here. When I actually did something different, and it was hard, because there's a reason. Everybody makes sense. There's a reason that I was that way. and we don't need to get into that, but changing meant, oh my gosh, this is uncomfortable. She's saying we're just going to talk about it tomorrow, and that tomorrow's a long ways away. Like, I want to fix this right now. Yeah, it was like, oh, I can't do like, but and then when tomorrow came, and I was like, oh, that wasn't that bad. Christian, it's no different than sitting in 41-degree water for 5 minutes that I do every single day. I look at that water and I say, wow, this is going to be hard. I get in, and within, like, immediately, I'm in my deep breathing. I'm telling my body, you're okay, you're safe. There's no threat here. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You know how we choose the partners that we're with? People are like, how do people end up with each other? It's your subconscious choosing your partner because you are unconsciously looking for somebody to make you feel whole, to complete a wound that you have with inside of yourself.
Okay.
And the real work comes when you realize it's actually not your job to make me whole. It's my job.
Mm.
I will show up whole. You will show up whole. And your relationship is a mirror for you. It's a mirror for you to show you where those wounds have not been metabolized. And it's not a mirror so that your partner can step in and heal that for you. It's a mirror to show you to show you where your own work needs to be done. You know, so often in a relationship, we say, you make me feel this way. You did this, you're wrong. You made me mad. You made me sad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not to say that our partners can't do things that frustrate us. They absolutely can. But when that happens, instead of saying, you did this and it made me feel this way, can you sit with yourself and just say to your partner, yeah, like I'm noticing like some heat in my body right now. I'm noticing like I'm feeling really uncomfortable. Not projecting, like not making it about the other person. Because so often in relational dynamics, when you get in an argument, when your spouse pisses you off, it's like Brandon said, it's reminding you of something from the past. Some unresolved wound from the past that has just enough flavoring to it.
It's that thorn.
It's that thorn. And you have such an opportunity right there to dive deeper into yourself and into deeper relationship with your partner when those experiences happen.
I love that. You talk a lot about how the nervous system plays a role. How does that play a role in the connection and emotional safety of relationship?
Everything. Your nervous system is in charge of your perceptions, your feelings, your emotions, your actions, your behaviors. Your nervous system is what is basically dictating your entire reality that you're in. So when you're in relationship, you are only seeing the partner through the lens of your own programming, of your own nervous system, of your own wiring. So what that means is it's actually not accurate.
Can be distorted.
Totally distorted. And when you rewire yourself to expand your vision, expand your perception, expand the way that you see yourself and thereby see the world, you see your partner differently. And your nervous system has everything to do with your relationship. How safe you feel in your side of your body, how you're able to be with your emotions and be okay. You cannot allow in your spouse what you don't first allow with inside of yourself. And nervous system is all about building up capacity with inside of yourselves to be with more.
When you say you can't allow them that which you can't allow for yourself, what do you mean? Can you go a little deeper on that?
Yeah. If you're somebody that doesn't feel safe holding anger in your body, if you do not know how to be with anger and be able to express it in a healthy way, how in the world are you going to allow for your partner to experience anger and let them know that it's okay? You know?
Okay.
Yeah, people could only meet you at the depth that they've met themselves.
Does that mean like you would make it wrong and you would treat them like whatever they're doing is wrong?
Yeah. Like, oh, you're getting upset? That's not good. You shouldn't be mad. You shouldn't be experiencing anger.
Judgment over curiosity in that case. Like when you can approach a situation or a person, especially yourself, with curiosity instead of judgment. Like that distinction is huge, because one, curiosity, is sourced in love, and the other, judgment, is sourced in fear. And again, everything being energy, that will dictate the outcome. So
Yeah, you can only, I mean, I'm not saying you can't allow somebody else to experience something. You can, like, you can't stop. I can't stop Brandon from having his human experience. But what I mean by allowing it means I can witness it and be okay. It doesn't shut me down. Like, if he's having a hard, difficult day, if he's experiencing anger, if he's experiencing sadness, I'm not going to let that dictate how I feel inside of my body. And that doesn't mean I don't have empathy and I don't feel and I don't attune to him like I do.
Mm-hmm.
But it means I'm going to stay anchored in like my adult self.
Yeah.
While he's experiencing his emotions. I'm staying anchored in my adult self when my kid has a bad day and they're crying and they're sobbing. I'm going to attune to them. I'm going to feel them. I'm going to let them know it's okay what you're feeling. You're actually supposed to feel that.
Yeah.
You're actually supposed to feel anger. It's okay. You know, we judge so much. We're so quick to judge and make stories out of what we feel instead of just allowing our bodies just to feel. That's what they were created to do.
I love that. I wanted to talk a little bit, being back into the kind of the deep connection. And I wanted to get your opinion, like, how do love languages play into creating that deep connection?
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think love languages are very important, but I think maybe more importantly than love language is knowing the trauma language of your partner. And that just means basically what we've been talking about, Christian. Like, it's beautiful to know that your partner's love language is, for example, words of affirmation, or kind words, or whatever it is. Mine happens to be physical touch, so I love physical touch. But Darci, more importantly than knowing that I love for her to touch me, she knows everything about what has caused me pain, what has caused my heart to shut down, what has caused me to feel fear. She knows my trauma language. She knows my wounds. She knows what triggers those wounds. And so I feel so safe. Like, it's often not talked about that men need to feel safety too, of course. Like, safety is critically important, which is why we named our podcast Safe to Be Seen. To any human being being able to give their full authentic expression, they must feel safety within. So safety for men is important too. And I feel completely safe, Christian, knowing that Darci knows my trauma language. So she can therefore she can attune to me. She can really see me in those moments where I'm like activated. And she's not going to rush in to try to save me, but she's very aware of what's going on. And that just helps deepen that connection.
So what I'm hearing is, and I just want to make sure I've got this right, but if you're having an experience, maybe a trigger or something, with her having that deep level of understanding of what the cause is of that, then she can be aware and it might adjust how she approaches it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes you feel safer.
Yeah. Yeah. She might adjust how she approaches something with that in mind, like being considerate. Being considerate is a very high form of love. But remember, one of the most important parts about this whole thing is to understand the concept of sovereignty. And so, although she can be very aware of my trauma language, my love language, it doesn't mean that she's going to self-abandon. Does that make sense? Like, she's not going to betray herself. She's not going to rush in to try to save me if I'm like having a bad situation or whatever. But just her being aware of it is enough.
Yeah, and I think offering language is like, how can I best support you right now?
Yeah.
You know, I'll take care of the kids tonight. I got it. Like, you're good.
Mhm.
You know, that's not self-abandonment. That's showing up. That's an act of love.
Mhm.
You know, love, the noun, and love, the verb, are completely different things. You can say that you love somebody, but are you willing to actually like put down your phone for them when they need to talk to you about something? Are you willing to turn your phone off at date night so you can just
Mhm.
be so fully present with each other?
Yeah.
You know, like people say, I would die for my partner. Oh, yeah? Are you willing to like maybe not hang out with your friends one night if your wife needs you? Are you willing to put down your phone? Put it away at dinner time?
Mhm.
These little acts of love throughout the day, like that's what builds and sustains a relationship. It's so much more than love to sustain a relationship. It's like Brandon spoke of, like it's not so much about love language, it's like, do I know your protection language? Do I know when you're self-protecting? So I don't take offense.
Oh, I love that.
You know, when I get
That
defensive,
seems like it'd be huge too.
yeah. When I get defensive about something, Brandon knows, what are you protecting yourself from?
And I try to, if Darci gets defensive, to see, I guess what we're talking about, Christian, is to see, like, I'm aware of why. Like, I know her whole story. I know the wounds that exist from whenever that would, by something maybe that I did or said, cause her to be defensive. And so then I'm able to almost see her as her little self. In fact, I drive in my truck. I have a laminated photo of Darci when she was about 7 and a laminated photo of myself when I was about 7. Because I think it's so important for people in relationship. And this just is kind of taking this maybe one step further with this, like knowing your trauma language, but to have such an intimate awareness of each other's inner child. Because that inner child, when you talk about, like at the beginning of this episode, Darci saying that 95% of our lives is run on the subconscious level, that inner child shows up a lot there in our lives. Feeling threatened, feeling scared, feeling unlovable, and all that protection starts coming out. So
Yeah, and I think when you notice like the protective patterns in each other, you don't become so easily offended.
Yeah, it makes sense. for
Because
sure.
it's like, oh, you're self-protecting from something. What are you protecting yourself from?
You don't make it about you as
You
much.
don't make it about you,
Yeah.
you know? And that's like that's the experience of being an empathetic witness for your partner. And I'm just here to witness to you and what you're experiencing and hold that space for you. You know what it feels like? Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. No.
No, I was going to say, like,
Continue.
you know what it feels like when you're in nature? That's why everybody feels so alive in nature. Because it's like you're so fully witnessed in your humanity and nature is just there holding space for you. That's why
Mm.
everybody loves being outside. You stand next to a tree, you could be screaming, you could be crying, you could be jumping for joy, you could be butt naked running around that tree having the time of your life. And nature is just this silent observer of you. It's like the same thing when you're with your animals. You feel so fully seen by them. You don't have to be a certain way
Yeah.
to be okay.
I also think too, in speaking about nature, when you see flaws in certain things, you appreciate it,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
A tree that grew the wrong way, the way it shouldn't have grown, and you appreciate it.
it's not a threat to you. It's like,
It's not a
oh wow, that's interesting. It's, again, it was curiosity versus judgment.
So I mean, to go back to love languages for a second, like that just made so much sense for me that there's some of those things that kind of seem a little more surface level, maybe, so to speak, love languages and putting the phone away, and we can do all those things. But when there's this deeper connection, I think it just feels way different, much stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And you may naturally just put your phone away because of that deep connection. And it seems like a lot of couples just maybe they don't experience that deep connection, right?
Mhm.
They're kind of more on the surface level, like I'm supposed to do this.
Yeah.
And why do you think that is? Why do you think most couples don't experience that deep connection? Is it just that they aren't aware of it, or they aren't willing to do the work, or they just don't know that it exists? Or
I think it's a little bit of all of it. I think, Christian, again, a little bit repetitive here, but the only way you can create really, really deep connection with another human being, especially in a romantic relationship, is if you have first been able to create it with yourself. Darci said it, you cannot give to someone else what you do not hold, what you do not have. Love being the most important thing. If you do not love yourself, how can you love another? You will always be needing from them. And pretty soon, speaking to the men, your woman, without your knowing it, has become your mother. Needing to care for you, needing to make sure you're okay, needing to make sure you're emotionally stable, and all these crazy things that happen to so many couples. I was there where I was unaware that I was needing her to rescue me. And when we were able to get to a place where we could balance, I guess maybe the simplest answer to your question, Christian, is it's freaking hard. That's why most couples probably aren't deeply connected. It's hard. But when you get to a place where you can balance your own sovereignty with your desire for connection, because it's a tricky thing to balance sovereignty with connection, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's what relationship boils down to, is, relationship can it can evolve or it cannot evolve, but if it doesn't evolve, it will die. And I think that in order for it to evolve, each of the partners in the relationship have to be on that path of evolution. And the problem becomes when the relationship is a threat or a hindrance to that, what we can call individuation being that progression, daily, never ending, toward your sovereignty, toward you knowing yourself fully, toward your full authentic expression, right? A relationship can suffocate that, because if one partner is evolving but the other isn't, that's going to be tricky. If neither are, then the relationship's not evolving, and it will die. But the flip side is true too, that individuation is also threatening to the relationship, because sometimes people in their individuation process, they grow in different directions. And so it's hard. It's a tricky thing to be in deep connection with someone and maintain your sovereignty.
Mm-hmm.
I like you mentioning that it's hard, because I think everything's hard, right? It just kind of takes me back to your cold plunges every day. Like, that's hard.
Yeah.
Every morning, like getting in there, it gets in your head and it's hard. And when you're in it, it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And everything about the body is like, get the hell out of here right this second, and you're like, no, we're going to sit right here and we're going to breathe. And then if we're doing that frequently, then things start to change. But it's hard. Not getting in it and then getting in it's hard.
Yeah.
And I think a bad relationship is hard, a good relationship is hard, and a great one can be hard as well.
Yeah.
And I think you've given us some amazing tips here, definitely for me.
Yeah. Just real quickly, I just want to say that, in responding to your question about why is it so hard to find that deep connection? And I think it's because when you're shedding old identities, it's going to feel so uncomfortable. It's going to feel like this is wrong, this is bad, because you have to literally become somebody new.
Yeah.
And to your body, to your nervous system, that is scary as hell, because you're stepping into something that is unfamiliar.
Yeah.
But unfamiliar doesn't mean bad. It just means that, like, it's new, it's different. And I think couples start doing the work, and they come up against that edge of discomfort of, like, I don't know about this. Like, is this going to really work? Is this going to change? And I think once you meet that edge, you have a choice there. It goes back between the stimulus and the response. You know, you have a choice. Am I going to meet that edge? And I'm going to create enough safety to like actually expand into this highest self version of me, you know? And it's like Brandon spoke to, like it starts first within yourself. Stop trying to change your partner. You cannot change your partner in order for you to be happy. That's like looking in the mirror.
That's
Like looking in the mirror and expecting the person in the mirror to smile back at you first. It's not going to happen.
And you're thinking, if they were just this way, then I would be.
You cannot change your partner. You can only change yourself and show up in a different way. That's all you can do. And they will respond to that.
Be the kind of partner that you wish you had, you know, like it's crazy, but we get stuck in these ruts. I think partnerships do, Christian, where there's so much like one partner trying to change the other. And it's like, when you realize that like in that state, in that frame of mind, you're giving your power away. Like if you could just realize that you, by changing yourself, like I always say to people, you will never have a deeper, more meaningful, more beautiful relationship with anyone if that's not there for yourself. You can never have a more beautiful or deeper relationship with someone than you have with yourself. You just can't. You can't. If you don't fully see yourself, how on earth can you see your partner fully? Right. That was eye-opening for me when Darci spoke earlier to this process of, well, naturally, like as you're evolving and you're shedding, you're unbecoming, you're tapping into more of your true self, you begin to see your partner so differently. And it is wild. It's a crazy thing, man, to have been with this woman every single day for 25 years and actually every single day see her more and more. And it's breathtaking. Like her beauty is just, it's unbelievable. And I'm not talking about just her physical beauty. I'm talking about like knowing her on the level that I know her and our connection. It is so worth it. I would tell your listeners, I know it's hard, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it. It's one of the most incredible, beautiful parts of being a human being is the giving and receiving of love, and doing it in a way that the container of romantic relationship provides of being completely vulnerable and intimate, and being able to share, you know, your sexuality. It's incredible.
I think the most beautiful, we're going to talk about love languages. I think the most profound and the most beautiful love language you could ever give to somebody else is to heal yourself.
Oh, I love that.
Because your unhealed parts are going to cause the most pain to people in your life. Because what you don't heal in yourself, you are unconsciously projecting onto other people, and those other people in your life are going to have to reorganize their lives around your unhealed wounds.
I love that. Can you repeat that? Your unhealed.
Your pain being, I can't even remember how I said it. It was good in the moment.
It was so good. That's okay.
We've got to record
your pain. Yeah, basically like your unhealed wounds. Everybody in your life is going to have to reorganize their lives around your unhealed wounds. And so I think the biggest act of love.
That is so big.
The biggest act of love you could ever do for anybody is to heal yourself. The biggest act of love for your partner, for your kids, for the world. Become sovereign in your own being. Heal your wounds. Don't expect anybody else to be healed in for you. I'm not saying you don't need help with that. I mean, that's what I do, is I hold space for people in that. We need help. We need an empathetic witness.
Yes.
We need a mirror for us to show us, how do I create the conditions of safety right now so I can come out of self-protection?
Yeah.
But I think that's the biggest act of love that Brandon and I have ever done for each other. It's not him buying me flowers. It's not him giving me massages. All those things are amazing. Don't stop doing those, babes. But The biggest act of love you could, if you truly love the people in your life, like you say that you do, is stop projecting your pain on them.
On yourself.
Yeah.
I love that.
Not only did they have to reorganize themselves around your unhealed parts, but that it gets perpetuated. You talk about generational trauma. You talk about why is relationship so hard? Well, it's because we're not fixing the problems very well. They get perpetuated from one generation to another. And if, it takes someone stepping up and saying, no more. No more. We're going to do things differently here. And for generations forthcoming, things are going to look a lot different.
Yeah. Your kids will inherit your dysregulated nervous system.
Mm.
Yeah.
If I've got one last question here, because I can talk to you guys for hours and hours and hours. This is fascinating, and you've just given such great information for me and as well the listeners here. But if somebody listening they want a deeper connection, but they feel stuck, what would you want them to hear today?
Mm-hmm. Want to go first?
Yeah. I would say just know that there's hope. You have to have hope. Otherwise, there's really no stimulus to change, right? If you don't really, you don't know what you don't know, Christian. And if you could just get a little taste of what it feels like to be in sacred union with another human being, you would have that hope would kickstart you, would be a catalyst for you to start doing the work.
Yeah.
I
would say you feel stuck. I would say congratulations. I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for you. Because on the other side of that stuckness that you feel is expansion and possibility and connection. So anytime you're meeting that stuckness means you're meeting an edge in your capacity within inside of yourself. And you have an invitation. You have an invitation to expand your consciousness, which thereby will naturally expand your relationship. So I would say congratulations for being stuck. You're being an opportunity right now to expand as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
You're being invited into deeper truths about yourself. And I would also say you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You're patterned, you're programmed, and you're wired. Okay? We all are. Your wiring takes place by the time you're 7 years old. Okay?
Oh, okay.
The rest of the work from there is to rewire yourself to your authentic self.
Yeah.
So people come up upon these edges, they feel anxiety, they start noticing depression, like all of these symptoms, these signals from our body, and we look at them as bad, as wrong. There's something wrong with me. No, there's nothing wrong with you. You're being invited into deeper truths about yourself. Universe, God, however you call it, is giving you this invitation, this letter in the mail. I love you so much. I'm giving you this. Let's open this up and take a look at it.
Yeah.
And let's see, like, what's going to become of you. So I would congratulate them.
I love that.
Yeah, relationship problems they're not like, I know they hurt, I know they're uncomfortable, all that, but they're there to expose truth.
Mm.
And if you realize that it's not that something's broken necessarily, it's that it's exposing truth to me. So what is this truth? And you get really curious about it and you start really looking at it with accountability, radical honesty. You'll make some really, really good headway, I promise.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. So the podcast is Safe to Be Seen. Kara, if you want to pull it up really quick, that would be awesome. And while she's pulling that up, one last question for you guys. I want, like, what would change in somebody's life if they get to experience that deep connection?
I mean,
In 30 seconds. Just kidding. You can take a little
what
longer.
would change? Your health, your vitality, your energy, the way that you view the world. You know, if we're talking from a nervous system lens, like the nervous system's only job is to protect you.
Mm-hmm.
What does protection look like in your life? It looks like fear. It looks like shutdown. It looks like defensiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What does connection look like in your life?
Mm.
It looks like
We don't consider that.
creativity, clarity, expansion, possibility,
Peace,
peace.
freedom.
Everything in your life changes. Everything in your life changes when you first feel connected to yourself and experiencing that with somebody else. So that's what I would say.
That's beautiful. I couldn't say it any better than that. So I'm not going to try.
I love it. Well, guys, if you want to learn more of this, I mean, I for sure do. Safe to be seen. And thank you guys so much for coming on. Like, that was absolutely amazing. So I appreciate you so much.
Thanks
for
for
the
your question. Yeah, thank you.